is Peter Clausi, the head of capital markets at Silver Bullet Mines. Peter, always good to be chatting. How are you?
I'm very well. Mark, how are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you. A bit warm here in Europe, but we're surviving, just about. So last time we spoke a lot about the Super Champ, which of course was where the focus is. And we went through some numbers. I'll just remind what they were. We were assuming a grade of 30 ounces silver per ton and a silver price of $30 per ounce. Potential gross revenue there could be $189,000 a week or 7.12 million over a 40-week period. Final grade, TBC, and obviously would change those figures a little bit. And last time we spoke, you were talking that you were in discussions with multiple.
Pausing there, as the Securities Commission likes me to do, those are your numbers, not the company's. So we neither confirm nor deny those.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that. Those are the numbers that I ran last time. Yeah. We were also discussing. You were in touch with multiple. I think you said buyers. So you said more than one, fewer than 10 for concentrate sales. So you probably can't disclose anything, but I'm going to ask anyway. How are those discussions going? Are you any closer?
We're closer. They're going well. There's a progress, a life of its own that these discussions take, and we're chewing through that process as quickly as we can.
Okay, good. So on to Washington then. So the contract miner, and they were scheduled to resume the drilling there and map the geology, that pinching and swelling and dipping. So that was set to follow. I think quite quickly, really. But the mineralization was there. It was in the host rock, and the recent news that you said that you've actually identified the entrance to what you call the sub-rosa zone that was in the Stoker report. So how are things going with Washington?
Well, the Super Champ that we talked about is in Arizona. The Washington mine is up in Idaho. And things are going very well. The contract miner has located the historical entrance to the sub-rosa mine. They've located the old rails and some of the old workings, which must be really cool to walk around a place that's been closed off for 100 years. Job one, of course, is to safety that. So that'll be timbering and whatever else is needed to make sure that that area is safe for the contract miner to work in. Once it's safe, you start hauling material.
Excellent, good. So you're happy with that stage where that is at the moment then? Because that Stoker report was pretty compelling. I know it was originally gold, but there was silver was there that really wasn't touched, and the grades again were pretty astonishing.
Right. Those are two different questions. Am I happy with it? No, I'm never happy with it. We're not going quickly enough. I'm not seeing money out of it soon enough. I'll never be happy until we're in revenue. The management team is well aware of this. We talk about revenue every day. We're not in the business of making holes in the ground. We're in the business of selling silver. So we have to get to the point, which is imminent. I know some people online make fun of us for saying it, but it's true. The sale of silver is imminent, and that's what we're in the business of. I'll be happy briefly once we get there.
Okay, so that's what's imminent, of course, and that's going to come from Super Champ, really, in the first instance.
And the Washington mine
and Washington. Okay,
right? Because the plan there is you pull out mineralized material, you put it into trucks, you truck it down the highway to one of three mills. They toll mill it and send us a check. Now, it's a little more complex than that, but that's the overview. And that's not a multi-year process. That's 2, 3, 4, 5-month process.
Sure.
So we're expecting revenue out of the Washington mine this fiscal year.
Okay. Super Champ's probably a little bit further ahead, I would say, because you're already making that concentrate. You've just got to secure those buying agreements effectively. So that could happen any day.
We're capable of making the concentrate. We're not, because every buyer's needs are different.
Yeah.
Right? If you just run generic concentrate, that's a great way of pouring money down the tailing pond. We don't want to do that. So we're waiting for confirmation as to the exact characteristics from any one particular buyer, and then we can run the con.
Okay. Could you also have a similar situation with Washington where buyers want a particular concentrate and this negotiation might take a long time again, or?
That's not our role there. Our contract miner is digging the material out, putting it on a truck, going to the mill. The mill sends us the check.
Right.
It's the mill's job then to negotiate with end users.
Fine. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you're selling it straight to the mill. Okay, I think when we mentioned Washington before, which I think was a few interviews ago, we talked. This was all pre NI 43 numbers, this Stoker report, and you were thinking maybe internally to do a possible resource estimate, but you wanted to see the business case on that because they're not exactly cheap. Any thoughts on that?
Our thoughts haven't changed on whether or not there will be a 43-101 report at the Washington mine. The contract miner is very well known for this kind of vein. So far, we're very happy with the work they've done.
Okay. Just going to go for it. Just going to get blasting, mucking, hauling, as you say.
Chris Ecclestone calls it the cult of the consultancy, where everybody needs an expert for this and grab a guy for that, get a PEA, get a feasibility study, do a scoping study. Suddenly you're $10 million out, but your project really isn't advanced any further. And we decided back in April of 2020, we were going to put our money into the ground. And that's what we've done. And that's why we've been able to accelerate these projects so quickly.
Mm. And have you made a decision on which mill you'll be sending the material to?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. But in terms of just thinking about what's to come from Washington, what are the things we can look forward to? When can the blasting start? Is probably the most exciting point.
Well, you've talked about the Stoker report, which is a historical report. It's available on our website. As you pointed out, it predates 43-101. So there are a string of caveats that apply to relying upon 43-101. We're not saying it's a resource. We're not saying it's a reserve. We're just saying it's technical information that informs our knowledge of the area. To date, our work in the field through the contract miner correlates to what is in the Stoker report. So that gives us even more confidence that the Stoker report is accurate and we can use it as guidance for the work that we are doing. You'll recall that, very loosely, and I know the geologists in the crowd are going to cringe when I say this, the gold and the silver were laid down in two different geologic eras. So a good geologist can walk in and look at the rocks and go, that's the gold, that's the silver. Silver 70 cents a pound or an ounce. We're not pulling silver today. And they pulled as much gold as possible. But they blocked off the silver, which means they very meticulously mapped where the silver mineralization was, in their opinion. And that's in the Stoker report. And according to that report, there's 120,000 tons grading between 30 and 90 ounces per ton with 0.3 ounces of gold. And that's the target that the contract miner is aiming for.
Okay, good. And that activity is it started now?
Yeah, it's underway.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so a few bits to come. We've got to await that all-important buyer to come in and specify your concentrate, you to agree with that from Superchamp and get that check coming in. And then, as you say, get I guess there'll be a few things to see at Washington with activity starting and then producing. Which is something you said in a few months. This fiscal year, anyway. You said this fiscal year.
Yeah. Well, the next things out of the Washington are going to be dull, right? Timbering, yay. Shock, yay. Like, they're necessary, absolutely necessary, but they're not exciting. Pulling vein material out, that's exciting. But to get the vein material out, we do have to do the mundane work first to ensure everyone's safety.
Absolutely. And
we have the money. We have the money to do it. We just
because you raised recently, indeed. Yeah.
And oversubscribed financing. It took a little longer to close than we expected because every time we got ready to close, another investor would show up.
Okay.
And say, hey, I have some capital. Can I invest in that? So the date kept rolling back until we finally hit the cutoff date imposed by the exchange, and we closed on roughly $170,000 more than we initially thought.
Good. Excellent. Good stuff. Well, thank you, Peter, for giving us that update. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on throughout the summer here. And looking forward to speaking when you can say, you've got a concrete view to revenue coming in.
Yeah, I'll be happy then. I'll be briefly happy then.
Yeah, and then on to the next thing. Well, as always, thank you for your time, Peter Clausi, Head of Capital Markets at Silver Bullet Mines.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.